Welcome to The Board, a podcast series on mechanical keyboards by the mechanical keyboard community. Today we are recording another live stream on YouTube, and I am joined with Kevin and Gabe. How's it going, guys?
Pretty good. There's people outside my window right now, so I had my mic muted, but I'm good. Yesterday, I watched Training Day, the movie with Denzel Washington.
Yeah.
And Snoop Dogg. Super good movie. Loved it.
And how are you, Gabe?
I didn't watch Training Day, so less good by default.
Did you watch anything?
I didn't. I worked yesterday.
I actually watched Sekiro today. I don't know if you know what that film is, or if you heard of it before. No?
I've never seen it.
It's Emily Blunt and Benicio del Toro. It's a drug-related Mexican cartel kind of thingamadooby. Yeah, I'm not sure if it did win an Oscar. I think it was definitely slated for prizes or awards, sorry. But I quite enjoyed it, so I had a really good time. And thank you very much for whoever the two people are that just tuned in. We are indeed having another live episode of The Board. Actually, while we're doing this and sort of getting our intro on board, somebody did ask me if we were going to be able to have this alive for them to listen in on. If one of you two could maybe look at the threads. I think it was under the mechanical keyboard giveaway one from last week. Someone wrote about it. If you can just ping them and shoot them a link to I guess our YouTube and see if he's on and he can check out this actual stream. So today we have a couple of things going on. We have a list of topics as usual. I do apologize for anybody who's watching that you're not going to actually see anybody else's faces this week, but we are kind of working on it. We're seeing if we can maybe get some kind of web interaction for some other people to join in, but we don't really want to end up on a regular basis not that I'm saying Top Clack is a bad show, but obviously we are primarily a podcast. Now, today we're going to be doing the Sebright giveaway, and we're also hoping that we might be able to get a live feed cut in from the Cooler Master headquarters in EU, where one of our other regular hosts, Joris, is actually hosting the EU Mechanical Keyboard Meetup right now, today, over there. So he did actually send me a message earlier on Slack saying that he would try and perhaps get on, and then he could do a live crossover, which would be fantastic. If we manage it, yes. If not, then hey, what can we do? So, we've got quite a few topics today. Some interesting, some dramatic, some fairly run-of-the-mill news of the week. What do you reckon, guys? What should we run with? Anything in particular?
Gabe, you pick first.
Oh, sure.
No pressure. Mom spaghetti.
Oh,
I haven't looked into the topics enough to know very many of them, other than maybe the Jelly Key versus Idea 23.
Okay.
All right. Let's start off with some fire. Let's go.
Let's go. All right. Well,
Super
because
hot fire.
you actually know at least something about this particular topic, Gabe, why don't you bring this one to the boil?
Essentially, Jelly Key is not too happy about Idea 23's caps looking similar in a sense. And he's been kind of going around in different Slacks, not talking shit per se, but calling them out. And it's a weird situation coming from a huge manufacturer. Let's be honest, Jelly Key's a huge manufacturer. They're not three guys in their basement. It's
Do you want to elaborate a little bit more about that in what you mean by that they're a huge manufacturer?
Well, they do resin casting outside of caps as a company. That's what they do. They make IEMs, they make stuff out of resin.
Can you explain what an IEM actually is for those who might not know?
Are in-ear monitors. So like essentially what you would see like a performer wear on stage in their ear
Okay.
to hear themselves. So they make things out of resin as a business, and they also make keycaps. So I guess they're not. They claim to be like a small business making keycaps, but they do other things out of resin. It's not their first rodeo.
Sure. So essentially what you're saying is that they're not exactly primarily a mechanical keyboard enthusiast who's doing resin work, but rather that they've moved into doing keycaps simply because of the fact that it's within their realm of expertise.
Yeah, it's like they're not like a Bus Gamer or Binge who are doing it in their garage. They're like they have a facility and they're casting with a team of people. With
Talking about a facility,
designers and
Hey,
Yes.
it's
Yes,
the Joris. Hey.
what up? Coming
Wicked.
to you live from the European Meetup.
And we are actually live on YouTube right now as well. We're streaming this just for you. And Vape Wizard, what's up? What's up? Thank you for joining in. And yeah, it's great to hear your voice, Joris, and I can hear the background and the hubbub that's going on right now.
Yeah, it's very popular. A lot of people around.
Now, are you actually on speakers?
No, I am not. I'm in my earbuds.
Is there any way actually for you to be able to get on YouTube or something like that to the channel so people can actually hear and see us while we're talking to you?
I don't think that it really. I can try to look around, but I don't like everyone is doing their own thing. Like everyone is standing around keyboards and just doing that kind of stuff. So
Joris, can you interview somebody? Can you just do that right now? Just go ask somebody some questions. I need that.
I can ask Gielson, like the guy from the YouTube.
Okay.
The old vintage keyboard reviews.
Yes, please get his voice on our podcast. We'll get all the views. If we get
Oh,
his voice
wait,
on our
something
podcast.
is happening. Again, something is going to be given away, I think.
I hope I win.
I think I should.
I heard the word giveaway. I want in.
Oh, Last Man Standing Overwatch something. Wow, this is really exciting. It's a real shame that we're not over there.
Yeah.
I'm legitimately bummed I'm not over there, actually. That'd be fun.
Yeah, so am I.
I am the best man. Let me win.
And thank you very much, Mendez, for joining in on the live stream. It is a little bit late in Australia, but this is actually the usual time that we record our podcast because it's the most suitable common time across the different countries. And what you're hearing right now, if you've just tuned in, is...
Compleet, spontaan en willekeurig. Zo, jij vinden om even kort een interviewtje te doen op een podcast.
Is Joris.
Okay, great. Okay. Ik weet niet of je kent de board. I don't.
It wasn't my idea.
Ja. Ik zeg de high quality. Het is zeg maar net zo van, oh wacht, dit is de tijd om het opnemen.
This has to be the most off-the-cuff podcast yet.
Guys?
Yeah, we're here.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Okay, well, if you guys want to interview him, I would say go ahead. I'll just pass him the phone because this is not really working how I expected it to be.
No, that's
Alright.
okay. Look, it seems like it's a lot of hassle. I don't think it's...
No, it is. It isn't. Like, I can pass him the phone and then you can talk for a bit.
All right.
All right, go for it.
All right?
Do we have
All right.
questions for him? This is...
Yeah, let's all ask one question.
Oh,
That sounds good.
Oh, okay. Hiya.
What's up?
How you guys?
So
Hey.
what? I'll start out. We're each gonna ask you one question. Okay, is that all right with you?
Yeah, sure.
What is your favorite keyboard that you own?
It's the Acer, the KB101A. I've got it here with me actually. I've been showing people around on it. It's such a nice keyboard. I just really like Blue Alps.
Okay. I think I probably knew that from your videos, but I'm still happy that I got to hear it on the podcast.
Live.
I feel kind of weird doing this.
But it's really cool because without the technology we have today, the fact is, we wouldn't be able to talk to you live right now and also stream it via YouTube at the same time, all the way across the world in 4 different countries. This is amazing.
Well, am I being streamed on YouTube right now?
You are.
Yeah. Okay.
Just the voice, though.
Just the voice.
Sure. Whatever.
All right. Well, I'm going to ask my question of you. How many keyboards do you own?
It's between 150 and 160. I'm not completely sure.
So, a lot.
A lot.
I have a list of all the models I have, but I have 1 or 2 duplicates. So that's where the uncertainty comes from.
Well, I've
Should
already
I
asked
make
my
my-
one question, so yeah.
I was gonna say, should I make my question really self-serving?
Why
Yes.
not?
Did you bring your Amber Alps? Because
Did I
I'm
what?
so jealous. Did you bring your Amber Alps to the meetup? Because
Yes,
I'm
of
so
course.
jealous of that board. Oh, you don't.
Everyone
even know.
really likes the Amber Alps keyboard. It's just
Like I
Are
picked
those
up a
the
2C.
Apple 2Cs?
Yeah, I picked up a 2C
Yes.
a couple months ago, but it was a well-loved 2C, so it's not the smoothest. And
I see.
Very
Yeah, that's the problem with Alp switches. They're as
Yeah.
good as a switch can be briefly.
briefly, yeah, if they're well-loved, they start not being so good.
Would you in the future, we do for our podcast, we also do like interviews. Would you be down to do one? Just talk about your experience with keyboards, and we can refer any listeners to your channel as well. Would you be open to do
sure.
that sometime? Awesome. Yeah, I will follow up and contact you about that.
Yeah, go for it. No worries.
I think could I ask
Talk to
you?
me on a- you can even
Oh,
talk
yeah.
to me on a much better microphone than this phone.
Yeah, I actually probably when I visited Joris in Amsterdam, and I probably saw the phone you're talking on right now. It's pretty mediocre. Like the bottom half of the screen doesn't work because he dropped it.
Oh, I think you got a new
Oh, man,
one.
you should see my old Nokia phone, which I actually filmed all the videos on. Man, that's such a piece of shit. Holy crap.
One thing that I wanted to ask you, like a final question, is: do you have any comments or interest in the XMIC keyboard, and like have you been following the progress of it?
Yes, I have one.
Oh, awesome!
Okay, that's pretty cool.
In fact, they're sending me another one because it's an updated design. I had wanted to do a video review on it quite a while ago, actually. And I've been in contact with 8pad Tech, who basically made the keyboard, and also with Jose, the XMIC guy, who I know from the forums, by the way. And I think it's a pretty interesting keyboard, and it should make quite a cool video, but I'm waiting for a second keyboard that they sent me to arrive before I do it, because there was a little bit of a mix-up. So there will definitely be a video on that, and hopefully soonish.
Awesome. That sounds really interesting. I'm looking forward to it. We should have a follow-up episode with XMIT these in the next few weeks. So I'll also definitely be checking in with him as far as what he's been experiencing with the keyboards. But yeah, thank you very much for coming on and sharing a few thoughts with us.
Yeah.
Yeah, no worries. My pleasure.
Well, have a great rest of the meetup, and yeah, we'll hopefully talk to you again soon.
Yeah, take
Yeah,
care,
cool.
man.
Let me know.
All right. Cheers.
And I'll talk to you guys later then.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
But
It's, and then if we're gonna get the Joris back,
Maybe.
give us
He just took
give
off.
us
with his
the
phone.
Joris.
I'm gonna get your phone.
That was somewhat fun.
yeah, that was really awesome. Thank you very much for
sorry, I
doing
got-
that. Yeah.
Spot with that one. Let's see. I think I'm still connected. Disconnect.
Oh,
Oh, there he goes.
Well, there
All
he
right.
goes.
Well, howdy to Mogul and Harshit Gold for joining in on our live stream. Thank you very much. And the Scottish Game Maker. Now, just to answer a question, how are Gatorons in the long run? Well, I don't know if anybody's actually managed to run their switches to 50 million actuations yet, but I can say after a couple of months at least, Gatorons seem perfectly fine.
I've had a keyboard with Gatorons for like 1.5 years, still going completely strong. They haven't given up that far, so I would say that the technology's probably pretty figured out, and that they were gonna last years, decades. Like, yeah,
well, they should last their 50
gonna...
million switch cycles, right?
Yeah, but I don't even know how that translates to time. But they're gonna last years and years.
I believe it translates to like 1.5 years if you were actuating at 300 actions per minute nonstop.
Oh boy.
But
so a while. In theory, everything else should fail before the switches. Unless you get like a unlucky here. You know, obviously there's some lemons, but
yeah. All right. So while we just were pleasantly interrupted by Joris and his live feed from the EU Meetup, we were actually talking about Jellykey and Idea 23, and Gabe had just given us a rundown on the fact that Jellykey do other resin products, and I was just commenting that they've really been more like a resin manufacturer that have moved into making keycaps as opposed to being enthusiasts who've picked up making keycaps like Idea 23 has. And I think in the last couple of weeks we've seen a couple of clashes, a little bit of sparks flying because there's been comments from either side, and there's been a bit of an attack really more from Jellykey's towards Idea 23 by saying, why are you like copying our style, you know? And I think I'm conflicted here, and the reason is obviously because we're good friends with Idea 23 here on the board and Bus Gamer, but at the same time, you know, it's always good to see competition, and it's always good to see you know, people doing well and producing products that people want in the community. But at the same time, this goes back to very similar themes and concepts, like with colorways and signature plastics not running sets unless if the creator of the set says you can run it. How do you say to somebody, you're not allowed to make a keycap that looks like my keycap, when they're not patented processes, they're not trademarked colors, they're not exclusive materials? Like, any 3-year-old kid could make a marbled pattern, and if you teach that 3-year-old to make a marbled pattern and cast it in resin, like, you know. So personally, I think Jellykey's overreacting a little bit, and if they feel that Idea 23 is actually a threat to their business, well, they need to look at their business model, right? What do you guys think on this?
I agree completely, because essentially what Idea 23 what Bus Gamer and Idea 23, are they two different people or not?
They are two different people.
Okay, I can never get a proper answer to that.
I can clarify that. So
because they never act as two different people, it's always one and the same.
So Idea 23 is actually the name of their joint business.
All right.
And
okay,
Bus Gamer is the originator, and the second person who's taken on the tag of Idea 23 on Reddit is basically his sort of partner in the business. So, but that's why there's that little bit of confusion, because the Idea 23 person is kind of like using that official moniker.
All right. I completely forgot what I was going to say, though. I was going to say, their keys look similar, but their process is different. So I'm not even sure. Essentially, it's just Idea 23 are making the keys faster and cheaper, and people are going to eat that up. There's no two ways about it.
Now, we've seen this week also that Bus Gamer and Idea 23 have been prototyping 60% cases, and so has Jellykey's. So do you think this conflict and this this fire is getting stoked even further?
I guess
Yeah.
it must
Yeah.
be, but
Great. It's great. It's good for podcasts. Got some stuff to talk about.
Do you think the community is going to actually reap positive benefits as opposed to it become like a mudslinging war where the community will become divided because you're going to obviously have diehard Jelly Key fans and then you're going to have diehard Idea 23 fans? Is this going to be, you know, one of those situations?
I don't think that they're polarizing enough that they're gonna like split the community. It's like, so like artisans are a very niche part of mechanical keyboards, and artisan cases are like a non-existent niche.
Well, I'm not talking just about cases here. I'm talking about just the whole
It's just
schmozzle,
not-
right?
It's not a big enough deal that it's gonna split anybody, but it's still interesting. Team Jelly. Are you Team Jelly or Team Bus Gamer?
Oh, well, you know, we haven't spoken to Jelly Key, and not that I'm saying that we wouldn't. Now, if Jelly Key, you listen to this and you hear this, or if someone says this to you, please feel free to talk to us because we would be more than happy to have you on to talk through some of these issues, to hear your side, your story. So, and we can do this either as a podcast or we can do it as one-on-one interviews, so on and so forth. Yeah. Well, let's roll on from this. Don't want to dwell too long on it because there's plenty of other drama that has actually happened this week. What are we going to go with?
Oh boy. I don't know anything about the Gherkin group buy drop. That seems just like silly. I just want to hear it. Just Don, just tell me, how are people so mad about such a small keyboard, Don?
Well, okay, so the Gherkin group buy was originally done by Gentleman Shark 1, and that closed successful, and, you know, PCBs are making their way slowly trickling out. And Asus Overclocked wanted to run a second buy because they had unfortunately missed out at the time on getting on that first buy. He created the interest check and then he started running the group buy, and he had actually asked for assistance from Gentleman Shark 1. A bit of time went by and then bam, suddenly out of the blue he's gone and said, hey guys, the group buy has changed slightly and I'm running this solo because I've actually ejected my group buy partner from this business because we didn't get along, and there was a little bit of probing, and then he came out and said because he was lying to me, and people went, what? And then the dirty laundry started getting aired.
My God, how have I not heard about this? This is great. Keep going. Wait,
Hey,
so
Boom Boy.
who ejected who?
So
Yeah.
Asus Overclocked ejected Gentleman Shark 1 from their
Oh
deal.
man, he ejected the OG Gherkiner.
Now, so Gentleman Shark 1 didn't actually create the Gherkin. He just got the Gerbers and he ran the buy. Okay. So now, would you like to contribute anything at this point, Gabe?
I've got no idea.
All right. So,
So it'll on this one.
so the dirty laundry came out in the form of the private message history between Asus Overclocked and Gentleman Shark 1. And people were like, hey, dude, like, it's called private messages for a reason. You shouldn't be posting this. Except for the fact that in those private messages, Gentleman Shark 1 actually specifically tells Asus Overclocked that he doesn't care if he posts these private messages. So people are like, well, okay, he said you could do it. And then other people are like, even though he said you could do it, you probably shouldn't have done it because it makes you look like a dick. What it really hinges on...
He was bluffing. He really did care if he posted it. He was just bluffing, Don.
Well, I don't
Takes
know.
it back.
I don't know. But what the lie really hinges upon, and it is a technical lie, but I'll explain the lie first. Gentleman Shark 1 said that he had a version 2 which supported RGB. And Asus Overclock went, sweet, let's run it, and we're going to say it's a different version. And then it transpires that that version actually hadn't existed yet. He was still working on it. He was still creating that actual PCB design. And then Asus Overclocked got upset because he goes, hang on a moment, I'm doing all of this work running this buy, and why are you getting split profits when, one, you've lied to me, this V2 RGB board doesn't exist, and two, you haven't done anything in this group buy. And Gentleman Shark, well, his response actually was quite interesting because he said, well, I've been doing stuff in the background because I'm the one that hooked you up with all of these contacts. And this is where the important distinction is. Gentleman Shark 1 now has been booted out of this group buy, but he gave up his personal contacts on who to talk to get stuff, who to talk to buy stuff, you know, etc., etc., etc. Because it wasn't just a PCB from a PCB manufacturer like, you know, EDA or Seed or whatever. There were actual components and other things involved. Now,
I don't know. I mean, I think that, yeah, it's sad that he got the boot. I think that sucks. But I haven't read through the PMs, but I think we need an episode of Gentleman Shark versus Asus Gamer, whatever.
Asus Online. So
yep.
Now I do want to apologize for everybody who was on the stream. We did just have a temporary cutout, but we are actually back. There's just a slight delay on that as that rolls through the YouTube stream. They just said what did just happen, and I think that might be in relation to the stream cutting out. Anyway, so that's what the drama was. But in a strange twist, even though they had all of this dirty laundry airing out, they've actually come good together in terms of a professional sense. They're still not working together. The group buy is still being run separately by Asus Overclocked. But they've actually apologized to each other, and it's kind of like they haven't kissed and made up, but they've simply gone, well, you know, sorry about all of that, but, you know, we're just going to be adults about this, which I think is fantastic.
What a great ending.
But this is actually a really good segue. Hang on a moment, I just need to type a message. There we go.
Can't type and talk at the same time.
I can't type and talk at the same time because I don't want to cross the streams in regards to what I'm saying and what I'm writing. And it was just to our actual online viewers right now, which we've actually got 9 viewers, which is amazing.
Wow.
So the only reason why I actually know that Asus Overclocked and Gentleman Shark 1 kind of made up and apologized was because they didn't do this in any of their threads relating to the actual Gherkin group buy. They did this in the other drama that happened this week, which was the resin kitty. No, it was the resin key.
There's so much drama. Oh my god.
I know, right? Now, come on, tell me, guys. You guys saw the resin kitty issue?
Oh, that was some good. That was some good content right there. That's great.
All right, well, take it away.
All right, so there was somebody who basically designed this resin kitty keycap for Shapeways, and then somebody basically is running the group buy for the keycap on Massdrop, and they stole like the guy's handle for a few of the forums and are basically just saying that it's them instead of him. It's like borderline like keyboard identity theft.
It's pretty much fraud. It's 100% fraud.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the guy who the imposter guy goes into like the threads and just like pretty much like just tries to be like, "What up? Fight me." It's like he's just so nonchalant. If you go to the bottom, you can still see his comments. He's just like, "Well, so what?"
So now let's just give a little bit more detail. Let's flesh this out just a touch. And the person that we're talking about is his thread that was stolen was ABC3D, and like Kevin said, Shapeways, somebody bought one of his kitty caps, had it printed in high resolution, and then casted them in resin. And then they went to Mastrop and said, I am ABC3D. Let's do a group buy.
Oh man.
Now this takes some serious balls, right? We're talking kahunas the size of coconuts, because how do you expect that the community would not potentially catch this when the guy who made them is obviously part of the community? And they basically went on, Shapeways, changed the description of their thing, contacted Mastrop and said, hey, somebody's pretending to be me. It's not me that's actually doing this drop. And then the guy who did it, Pro Keycaps, owns up to it. And it turns out Pro Keycaps, also known as M&M, this is really strange, because if you look at their Instagram and you look at their website details, they look like they do very similar stuff to Jelly Key. This is like mind-blowing, right? Circular, in the sense that you're now getting all these people who are really capable of creating high-quality resin casts, but seemingly have very little imagination. And yeah, now of course this drama ensues and people are like, prove it, and so he goes and changes the description and proves that he has the actual kitty design, because he shows screen caps of the edit page for the product and stuff like that. And then it's like Kevin said, Pro Keycaps comes along and starts copy pastoring. Did you read what he was putting in?
Yeah,
it was
really like
it was bad.
Just random stuff.
Just random English. He didn't even change like where it's got XXX for you to change the text, and he just left XXX's in. It was hilarious. So
there was one thing that I want to add,
yeah,
which I think is interesting. And so I didn't know who this the Shapeway poster was till this thing happened, but I had actually seen the kitty keys casted on Taobao a while back, like a lot of different colorways, and I was like, wow, like I might buy one of these. They look pretty cool. And I just didn't, because I think they were like, the Taobao page didn't have a lot of like, it wasn't highly rated page.
Mm-hmm.
Like it didn't have a lot of, they kind of have that like crown gem like rating for how many sales the person has.
Okay.
And I have like a level that I hold myself to.
Like what, 4 diamond or something?
I don't know. I just like, every time it like looks low, I just look up the ratings and I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll just pass on that.
So, do you think Mastrop needs to review their processes that are used to determine authenticity of artists, group buys, etc., etc.? Because now this is obviously blown wide open, the fact that Mastrop is at risk, right?
Well, if this is almost like a borderline like legal issue, because your own designs can have intellectual property before you've even filed anything, and you can collect like after the fact.
Sure can.
So yeah, it's actually scary for Mastrop. They should be careful about it.
I'm not a lawyer, but I'm pretty sure 3D designs apply the same way as art, in that the moment you make it, it's your IP, and you can't, if someone else can't just come and take it and be like, oh, you didn't file for anything, so I'm taking this.
But most of what I've read, it hinges on the fact that like profits have been made off of like, or damage to the brand has been done.
Oh, yeah,
and
for sure.
This would be like probably both. Not that like we're a lawyer or anything. Any of us are like anything close to lawyers, but I think that it definitely like is a scary thing to be dealing with.
You see, the problem is that, and we've discussed this before about things being manufactured in China, is that they just shrug it off because you're not going to spend exorbitant amounts of money to try and chase them. I suppose the issue in regards to Mastrop being liable is, would they be able to demonstrate in a court of law, if it was ever taken to that point, that they were sufficiently hoodwinked? If they had taken the right precautions in determining identity, but they were still hoodwinked, then would they be off the hook?
As long as the guy has the same Reddit name, I'll take his I'll take his business. It's enough for me.
And the thing is, though, is that it's not something you'd ever expect. Like, it's not something Mass Drop would expect, and they're not looking for that. They will be now, I'm sure. But prior to this, it's not. You wouldn't think anyone would have, like you said, the cojones to actually try and do that.
Yeah, I mean, and the fact that this has happened is showing the landscape quite dramatically changing, very rapidly changing. The more artisans that come on, the more knowledge sharing as well, it means more people are going to be involved. And to the extent where you are getting now copycats, you are getting high quality copies, and now you're getting fraudulent behavior, it really should actually be making other companies open their eyes to how big the keycap world, this niche aspect is becoming. Like, Signature Plastics should be worried, because if people are knocking off artisans, then soon enough their products are going to be appearing as well. I mean, we know that there are knockoff caps already, right? But it's not going to be that far away, because if Max Keys are already producing stuff that's really nice, even with
transition, Don.
With
don't miss it.
What?
Transition to the next topic. There's an essay group buy on J-Chan's site for Max Keys.
So if Max Keys can do this, it's only a matter of time before potentially you will see, inverted commas, fake or copies of, Pulse, copies of Penumbra appearing, because they only have to get their hands on one legitimate set, fork out, the $900 or whatever it is, and then reverse engineer the colors by color matching it, etc., 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 and bam, game over, So, yeah, it's a lot of food for thought.
Yeah, you're right, Don.
And Boom Boy also agrees. Look at Max Key. So, yeah. Now, the SA group buy, the Max Key.
Who's this Max guy? Yeah, Max Keys has a group buy for a lot of different SA keycaps on J-Chan's site, KeyClack. I should just call it KeyClack. I don't know why I say J-Chan's. But they have a lot of really cool colors, and it's priced at $75, which is super
very affordable
for a full SA set with a decent amount of compatibility and really nice colors. They even have the Sky Dolce SA set. Like, whoa, that's pretty cool.
But the legends, though.
What the shift one has like a spade.
They said that they've retooled to fix that. So
hopefully they did.
So
are these SP old molds? Is that what's going on?
I heard somebody post that, but there's no way that SP was like that. That's just opening themselves up to competition, right?
If you actually look at the comparison, because somebody did post up pictures about the SP SAs versus Max Key SAs, and you'll notice that their profile shape and their height are slightly different. What that suggests to me is one of two things. One, they've taken a bunch of measurements and they've tried to CAD it, reverse engineer it that way. Or two, they've actually 3D scanned it and then produced a model. But the problem with the 3D scanning method is that you have error percentages. So like really, really high quality 3D scanners have like maybe an error range of like 2% or something like that. Really low quality scanners have like an error range of like 2 millimeters. So depending on if they went with that scanning method, that might account for why the curvature is slightly different and the height slightly different. If they went with the measurement method, then it comes down to maybe they did it deliberately different just so that they couldn't be accused of knocking off SA from Signature Plastics 100%. I don't know.
I got during my internship, I got to play around with it was like something like $70,000 or like $90,000 for like this 3D scanner I was using to scan things in, and it's used for like aerospace.
Mm-hmm.
And it's accurate to like 1,000th of an inch.
Yeah. That's
Pretty insane.
well,
But I wouldn't assume that they'd be using one of those in the factory in China. But I mean, that you can get pretty decent ones for pretty affordable now.
yeah.
The thing that gets me though is that their kerning issues are exactly the same as old SP sets. Like, and I feel like if you were making a set from the ground up or from a 3D scan, you wouldn't have that issue, I would hope. Because like their alt and their shift are the same. They're exactly the same cap, like the same font, legend.
Unless if they'd actually copied from old SP sets.
Unless that. But that
Oh man, they copy the errors. Oh god.
Okay, I'm gonna tell you this lovely story. Now I am gonna say it's a story because I can't verify it for truth. Okay, but it's a story that I read because I work in a particular industry, and there are engineering anecdotes. During World War II, one of the world wars, the Soviets captured a tank. They captured a tank that was on the battlefield, and it was in relatively good condition. And they took it home and they reverse engineered it, and they built thousands of these things and put them back out in the battlefield and ran them against their enemies. After the war had finished, one of the original engineers of the version that was copied got to see one of these tanks, and they noticed that there was this hole on the side of the hull of the tank, and they were like, what's the hole for? And none of the actual people who were making these tanks had any idea, and so they went back and they traced all their records and everything else, and it turns out the original tank that was captured on the battlefield had this hole. And so they had blindly copied this hole in the hull because they thought it was part of the design feature. Turns out the reason why it had that hole was because during maintenance, because they were in a rush to get this tank back on the battlefield, they didn't put a bolt back in. And that's the moral of the story. If you copy shit that you don't know why they did it or what it's designed for, you don't know what you're making. And the best you can do is replicate it 100% because at least you know it worked, right?
Yep.
So maybe they got hold of old ones. They don't know kerning or English or fonts. They're just like, hey, I don't know, non-Chinese people like this and we'll make it exactly the same. What can I say?
No, yeah, that makes sense.
Oh dear. Yeah, so while we're actually talking about SA sets, Rad away.
Are you talking about the one that's the wrong color?
The minty green.
Yeah. Dude, I don't know. I feel bad for them, but I'm a supporter of the new, I hope they sell them all still.
Okay, so for those who might not be familiar with what we're talking about, they did, their UK keys had a group by running for a set called Radaway, and it was meant to be, nuclear data? Was that correct?
Yeah, just for plonks.
Yep. It's like this nice, dark, sort of rich, foresty green color with like an orange. And it was to be made by a UK keycap manufacturer, Devlin, with a slightly different profile, which they call the K series. It's a mimic of the SA Row 3, but not 100%. Turns out the color chips and the web colors didn't really actually represent each other, and they got these mint green faded things. They are now available for sale and on UK keycaps, and they've renamed them Retroist. So it is a plank only set, so if you're looking for plank sets, they are legended. It's not bad if you can get over the fact that it was a failed colorway of another colorway. If you don't care, go for it. Looks nice. There we go. So yeah, that's a good wrap there. Now, while we're here and we're past kind of a halfway mark, how about we do some giveaways just to break up things a little bit? What do you think?
Yeah, as long as you're ready.
Well, I'm ready.
All right, you go first.
All right, so last week, and I think this is what everybody on our YouTube's hanging out for, maybe. I don't know, what are they hanging out for?
You bunch of vultures. No, I'm just kidding.
we had donated to the board from Bus Gamer a Sebright hand wire kit. Now, I actually do hope he has it, and it's not just like mired somewhere under all these keycaps that is manufacturing. But we asked for you, if you wanted to enter, to produce a cardboard keyboard and take a picture of where you would actually use this keycap. And at the time of when we started this podcast this evening, there was only 8 entries. So it's a 1 in 8 chance now for anybody who entered to win. Now, because, hey, welcome Mechanisk, and thank you Vape Wizard for letting us know that you're hanging out just for fun, because we're having fun here, at least. I am. I hope you guys are too.
I am. I'm having fun.
All right, so now because this kit is actually a little bit more of a higher end item, I didn't want our competitors to feel that it was like favoritism or anything like that, especially because we have some people who are claiming to be #1 fans of the podcast series. So what we're actually going to be doing is using a random number generator to give this away. And yes, Bus Gamer is in fact an absolute legend. So I'm going to switch the YouTube feed over to my left-hand monitor, and you can see the actual podcast that's recording at the top. You can see the list of people on the left-hand window, and then there is the random org on the right. So our 8 contestants today is Outrage Pudding, SconeMC, Jolly Green Giant, me as Human, J Talbean, Harsh Girl 96, who is actually here in the stream watching, Tobias Boone, and Blitzcrank Bebop. So there is the 8, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually set that from 1 to 8. And can I have a drum roll, please? And generate. And the result is 2. SconeMC. SconeMC. Congratulations. I don't know if you're actually going to hear this right now, if you're actually listening or not, but we're going to get in contact with you, grab some details, and get that Sebright kit to you. Thank you very much to the other guys for entering. I loved seeing the pictures, and I do know that some cardboard cereal boxes were sacrificed for their keys. I love the fact that almost everybody went to the effort of actually drawing out the plate. That they actually drew, the boxes. Some people cut them out. I know one person tried to laser cut them and actually set the cardboard on fire, and then so they actually they stopped using the laser cutter because they were like, there was like fire and smoke and char everywhere, and you can see it on the actual cardboard that it's caught on fire. And we're talking about cardboard plates that were on laptops in classrooms and with tablets and stuff like that, which is fantastic. So thank you very much. Now, if my memory serves me right, and I'm just channeling a little bit of Iron Chef there, Boss Gamer said that he also had a macro pad, right? That he was interested in giving away. Was that correct, guys?
Yep.
Okay, so we're not actually going to announce anything for the giveaway on that today because we haven't actually sorted that out yet. I just want to make sure that the Sebright kit goes out first, and then we'll announce the giveaway for that later. Now, do you want to do your one now, or do you want to save it for later?
Let's save it for a little bit later.
Okay, not a problem.
I do have a cool story, as long as we're moving on.
Yep, we're moving on. New topic.
So, one thing that I actually got to do this weekend, yesterday, was I found a local electronics recycler, which I had never known was close to me. I had just assumed that we only had thrift stores for old people. But they have an electronics recycler really close to me where they get hundreds of random electronic devices. So I drove there. It was only 8 minutes away from my apartment. And what they have is, so it's based out of a community college, but it's in the back. So I'm not sure if it's even connected officially to the community college, but they do it as like a kind of like a charity fundraiser thing for people with special needs. But what they do is they collect e-waste and then they crush up the plastic and sell it to like companies that are buying recycled plastic for whatever purposes and uses they're using them for. So they are getting gaylords full of keyboards and putting them into a car crusher and just crushing the keyboards. Don, we need to save them. We need to save the keyboards. So I went there and I like dug through. This was only the first time I went, and I didn't look super hard. So I ended up with one keyboard that had MX compatible keycaps, missing a tab key for 50 cents, and I got an Alps compatible like slider over dome keyboard, which it's not double shot. It's either pad printed or die subbed, but it's pretty nice PBT. And so those are some nice Alps keycaps that I got from there. And then also I got a Mitsumi hybrid switch, which is, it's the buckling sleeve. It has an interesting feel though. And also the other interesting thing about that one is it has this sort of like dampening cone it's basically like an upside down, it's like an ice cream cone, but on the top of the switch top. And like as you press down, it like dampens it. It's very cool. I've never seen anything like that till that keyboard. So it was a successful trip. It only cost me $2 to buy 4 keyboards. And yeah, I got some really interesting things.
Now, are you going to keep this location secret, or are you going to plan to share this with the community?
Maybe I'll share it eventually, but
after you've picked it clean, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's like they basically crush a Gaylord full of keyboards like every few days.
Wow.
So yeah, like I'm gonna be going back like constantly, and also the people in charge, they really like, you could tell that they were happy that like people are interested in the stuff that they have, because it just gets destroyed.
Yeah.
So I told them things to look out for. So I had to, for a non-keyboard enthusiast, I had to give them like some really basic things that they could look out for. So I was like, beige plastic that's off-colored and looks like it's old, clicky keys when you press them, and keyboards attached to computer terminals. So
yep.
I had this thing of it on the spot, but those are the 3 defining factors for vintage keyboards, and those are the ones that I'm trying to save here. So we can let all the Razer keyboards die in the crusher, because we're not saving black keyboards. We're just gonna let them get crushed. No Corsairs, no Razers. Yeah, but it was super fun, and now me and my roommates and my neighbors, we're all gonna go together.
That's pretty cool. Do you know if there's any e-recyclers around your place, Gabe?
I think there are, but the few that I've seen, they cut the cable off, which isn't a huge issue for the most part. But like, if I want a working keyboard, I'd rather not have to find a replacement cable or rewire.
Yeah, every single one has their cable cut, but
yeah, it's super annoying.
I'm still interested. I think it's because they salvage the material in the cables.
Maybe. I don't know.
Am I correct? Or maybe it's because they can't recycle the plastic that's in the cables, or
it depends. No, it depends, because if it depends on what processes they use to do their recycling, because you have to consider that there's also other crap that's inside the actual keyboard, like the circuit board and metal and stuff like that. So when they mulch up the keyboard for plastic, it's still got to go through a bunch of different processes before they actually get pure plastic, or pretty close to pure plastic waste for recycling. cutting the keyboard cable, I'm not quite sure what that would be. It might simply be more about the fact that cables don't break into chunks. Do you know what I mean? Like, it might clog the actual crusher shredder as opposed to brittle plastics, because cable plastic is stretchy plastic, whereas everything else inside the keyboard is brittle plastic. It'll actually mulch up into, like powder-like form, whereas cable won't. That's probably the only thing I can think of why they would cut the cable.
The only reason I was thinking of is because, well, when you RMA a board, like say you RMA Corsair keyboard, and they don't want you to send it back, they just ask you to cut the cable and send a picture of the cut cable, and then they'll send you a new board.
Right.
And I was thinking maybe it's just something like that, like they just don't want people using these boards for whatever reason.
Yeah, but if they're vintage...
The thing is, though, is that companies, especially companies dealing with sensitive information, put privacy before common sense. Because like they'll destroy keyboards that keyboards don't save keystrokes. There's no module in the keyboard that's saving keystrokes, but because of like privacy issues, they'll have those keyboards destroyed rather than give them to someone because God knows.
Well, it could be because they're not going to take the time to determine if it's like an old keyboard or not, and it's just easier for them to just cut all the cables if there's a reason they can't recycle the cables.
I remember reading a story a while back of a bank that had a large stock of IBM SSKs, the TKL IBMs.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember the story was that someone was working at this bank and they wanted to save these keyboards, and their employer told them, hell no, these are being destroyed because they might have sensitive information in them. And it was just like, oh man, I would take the keyboards. I would get fired. I wouldn't even care.
That's so sad. That's so depressing.
I know.
For vintage stuff, yes, we know that that's not likely. For modern equipment, it is actually within the realm of possibility that they could have had that designed into its chipset. But we're talking vintage, so obviously that's not really.
You open up a Model M, you know exactly what you're looking at. There's no there's no trickery here. There's no
no.
Can't trust those Model M SSKs. Working for the whatever enemies.
Oh, hey, Tanky Online Gamer King level. WTF are you doing? Well, we are actually broadcasting a podcast on mechanical keyboards live. Obviously, you probably aren't a mechanical keyboard enthusiast at the moment if you've just joined in and you're not quite sure what's going on. But if you'd like to stay and listen on, you're more than welcome to. Now, we've covered most of our topics for today. The only ones that are left, there's 2 left, I believe, plus your giveaway. So, what do you reckon? Shall we talk about fluids?
Sure, let's do the GTK and then we'll do the giveaway.
All right. Okay. So, this has been a very long time coming for a lot of people in the community, but the JTK Top Ray to MX sliders seemingly have now become available, but not through the original group buy. They have turned up on AliExpress.
It's just like kind of sad that I don't think they've reached the people yet, and they're already on AliExpress. It could just be because they haven't done the shipping and distribution from Control Alt, but it's kind of like frustrating. You're like, wait a second.
Yeah.
Like, I just ordered them from like AliExpress.
Exactly. Now, one brave person ordered, paid, and got them, and they said they work fine. They feel like, reasonable smoothness, nothing catching or binding, not too grindy. The only issue that seems to be, I suppose, a point of contention amongst people is about the stabilized keys. Now, I don't know why they didn't actually copy the design 100%, but their stabilized keys are just like the Top Ray in that it doesn't have the support bumps on either side. If you've ever Nova touched a top row keyboard before, you've probably done one of two things. You've either clipped those little knobs off, or you've drilled holes in the case of your top row. Most people that I know of, that I've seen, actually drill the holes. Gabe, what did you end up doing?
Yeah, I drilled the holes. It actually keeps the key stabilized as opposed to just having it loosely sitting there. So
what I'm wondering, because I haven't done this yet, but I could in the future, is there a drawback to drilling the holes other than having a hole in your keyboard?
No.
Because it's going to be covered up.
You just have a hole. If you switch back to Topre, there's still a hole. Doesn't affect anything.
So can you drill like bigger than smaller so that you just know you have enough space for the...
What I did is I drilled a little bit, put the cap on, still binding, drilled some more, put the cap on, still binding until it stopped binding.
Okay.
Now,
but it wasn't something that you thought was like super, like you could screw it up kind of?
Well, I didn't drill. I wouldn't put power tools near my keyboards just as a general rule, because I don't trust myself with power tools. But what I did is I took like an X-Acto blade, like like the ones you would. Yeah. But I just poked a hole like kind of near where I wanted the hole and just spun the X-Acto blade. It's kind of like a shitty end powered drill.
You basically scraped with the blade a hole.
I scraped with the blade a hole, but I felt like it was a lot more accurate than if I was actually using.
Were you scraping plastic away?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, I know that somebody else did this and it took them like 2 hours and they cut themselves 4 times.
Was this Blake?
This
better not have been Blake.
This was Platter Bear, yeah.
Oh, God. How did he...
He cut himself 4 times, he said. But he was very satisfied with the end result because he was actually able to use these sliders. Now, what we're talking about in this regards is, because if you don't drill the holes, you actually do have to modify your stabilized keys, because the stabilized keys have the side stems, and without the holes, they're just going to hit the housing on the keyboard and therefore they won't depress. So either way, you're going to be either modding your very expensive keycaps or your very expensive keyboard. Take your pick. If you mod your keycaps, well, okay.
The keycap's irreversible though, so if you want to use it on something else,
you now got short
SOL.
side stems, right? But if you mod your top row keyboard, it doesn't matter what MX keycaps you put on it, it's always going to work. So it's just something to think about. But we know from links and posts on Geek Hack that Bunny Lake has said that it's not an issue because the keys are well supported from the center stem. Now, if you do actually take a look at these GATK ones, they've got very thick walls. They're very thick compared to the NovaTouch, and I know why they're supportive is because that extra thickness on the center stem reduces the wobble significantly. But I would still hazard to say that it's not as supported, not as wobbleless, or less wobbly than if you actually did have these side support knobs. And I did see a couple of people talking about maybe they could just like glue little bits on them to give that support and drill the holes, so they would act like NovaTouch ones. But yeah, you do what you can, and if you don't mind actually modifying, then yeah, there you go. And lastly, pickle juice. It's such a ridiculous thing to think about. Not that I'm laughing at the person who had this misfortune happen to them, but how do you spill pickle juice, like a whole jar of pickle juice on your keyboard?
A pickle jar anywhere near your keyboard? Like, that is...
maybe they were making themselves a Reuben? Or they were just
like near your keyboard.
They like eating pickles straight from the jar. But here's the most important question, right? What kind of pickle was it? Was it salt pickle? Was it vinegar pickle? Are we talking dill pickles? Are we talking full-size pickles? What do you reckon?
He's going to have to live with that pickle smell for the rest of his life.
Yeah. I think he's actually ditching that board and getting a new one, was the decision at the end of it.
Yeah, that's it. Unless it was a custom, and then you're just going to suck it up.
No, I don't think it was a custom. It was a cheapie. It was a cheapie. Their first.
Magic Force.
It was their first keyboard. For you, Hushit, what did you miss? We talked about, and we did the giveaway, and we talked a little bit about the JTK stuff, the Radaway, and Kevin's trip to an e-recycler. Now, I actually don't know if I have an e-recycler nearby me. There is a massive recycling center, but it's not a place that's open to the public that you can actually go to. Recently, they had a fire. It was pretty bad. It burned for 3 days before they put it out. And the smoke that was coming off it, this black plume of smoke, was seen about 50 kilometers away. So, yeah. I would love to find an e-recycler if there was one nearby and check it out. Maybe I'll have to look and see if there is.
I think that's the issue. Is like they're very like bordering on the line of like where they don't let people just go in. So you need to find one that's like small enough that they'll let you just walk around in, but that's big enough that they actually have things worth going to see.
Yeah.
So I just got really lucky in my case that it's both of those qualifications.
And we're pretty much at the end of our sort of topic list. We've had a pretty good episode today, being able to say hello to Joris and also to Cryosan from the EU Meetup live, which was fantastic, as well as chat our way through a bunch of drama this week. Do we have any other topics just on the cuff that you guys want to talk about? And also, I'll give an opportunity to our 10 watching on YouTube if they have any sort of impromptu questions they want to throw forward before we wrap for this episode.
I still have to do my giveaway.
Yeah, we can do that at the end.
I did win one of the big T new alien keys. I entered for one.
Okay.
I think I'm gonna pay it, but I still need to decide because I might message the guy and tell him that I think I'm gonna buy it, but I need to still spend today thinking about it probably because I'm trying to not spend too much money.
You shouldn't. You should just pay for it because you entered the raffle. Because if you don't, you're basically wasting the guy's time.
I know, but it's like he doesn't want to sell it to somebody who is just gonna like sell it after. Like it's very counterproductive if I just get it and I just sell it because I.
Well, okay, that's true, but you should reconsider that in the future. And of course, this is me putting on the paternal voice mode, not to waste other people's time. Okay.
Yeah, well, it's really hard when you try to enter artisan raffles. And you just have to enter as many as you possibly can in hopes of winning. Like that's kind of like if you don't have a distribution system set up to sell your keys faster, you're just gonna have to deal with it. I mean, you dealt with it, and I dealt with it.
Yeah, I know, but that's why I understand how annoying it is.
Things change within like the time you enter the raffle and the time when the raffle's over. You can't always expect just like.
And this,
I didn't buy the EAV one, but I entered for one.
And this is why blacklists exist.
No, not if you. I don't think anybody blacklists anybody if you message them and tell them that you.
That's true.
Don't want it. Like that's.
But
if people make
if you were a repeat offender of this though, to the same seller, then you might get yourself on.
Well, it's their choice. If he wants to blacklist me for this, then he can blacklist me for it. But I wouldn't blacklist somebody for that.
I haven't in the past for something like this, if there's actual just cause, but for some people who have actually significantly wasted my time with the obvious intent not to have a transaction, I have, done so. Now, going on to our YouTube thing, the Boom Boy Bill is asked, how many people do you think are going to join the Plunk group buy? It's a very popular board. It's been a while since they've had a buy, right? So, I don't know. What do you think? It's going to be a big one?
300, 400?
Have we got a 500? Do I hear a 500?
That'd be my guess. Between 300 and 400. It's just too. It's not. It's more niche than the
Yeah.
White Fox, and the White Fox hit like 1,000. So
The ortholinear is not for everybody, and you do see a lot of people who get in on orthos, and then you see them appear on Mech Market very quickly. So, but never know. It could get to 1,000 because there's been a lot more people waiting since it's been a long time since a buy has come up. Now, thank you very much for joining in, Vape Wizard. If so, Bill said it's currently sitting at 1307. So there you go. It's been smashed.
wait, they've sold 1,300.
Seems like it. I haven't been keeping track simply because I'm not interested in.
Is it already on Mastrot?
Yeah, it is.
Wow, I thought it was just like still in progress.
Well, there you go.
That's so many. Oh, I guess it's a really good price too. 109. Wow, that's crazy.
Now, for answering you, Hashid, SconeMC actually won the Sebright. Unfortunately, you did not. Now, for Mendez, are we going to keep the video live stream in the future? It's not something that we were intending to do every week or regularly. It's probably something that we're going to do semi-regularly just for a bit of fun. I think some people would probably be a little bit bored seeing just me all the time. So until the other guys can get themselves webcams to their satisfaction, then yeah, we'll have to see how it goes. In terms of having an audio live feed, it is possible, but I'm not sure how we would handle that simply because YouTube does require a video feed to be able to stream anyway. Whereas if we did it through Discord, that has some technical issues. Yeah, so unless if there's anything else, guys, I think we can wrap there and do the giveaway for the board keycap.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
All right.
Take it away.
So I was just going to go through the entries this week to start off. The question was, what is your favorite artisan? And then send me a picture of it as well as the colorway. So some of the entries I got, the first one from Odd Future LOL was the Columbia Cosmonaut. The Knight 4041 sent me the Sleeping Dragon by Crap. Outraged Pudding was a fan of the Coscaps Desert Sands Growler. Jolly Green Giant loves the Cutie Reaper, Mini Reaper design that's unreleased. Goose Cannon likes the Jazz Caps, Bright Prime Caps. Demise likes the Dusted Foam Classic Fugu. And this Fugu specifically, I know a lot of people really like. It seems like a pretty popular one, the Dusted Foam. I've just seen it constantly appearing on Mech Market and like people looking for it and RMK. And then NSU Pro and Baking Pie love their Idea 23 blanks. We are really happy to see that. And Openist is a big fan of the Bro Stump, and he actually sent me a picture of one that he like sculpted by hand as like a fan art kind of thing. Okay. And yeah, he's a big fan of that design, the V1, and I really like the V1, so good work. And I guess we will. Should we do the pick a number thing again? I've always been a big fan of that.
Yeah, however you want. So how many was that in total this time?
9.
9. Okay, so you want to go with the random generator for 9?
Let's have Gabe pick a number.
All right.
Sure.
All right.
1 to what?
1 to 9.
1 to 9. I just mixed up the list a ton, so you just pick 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9, and then I'll just pick somebody.
I'm gonna go at an extremity and go with 9.
All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, it's the Knight 4041 with the Crap Sleeping Dragon. So congratulations. I will contact you on Reddit for your information. And the next question, which we are going to be asking for this following week, is going to be what host of our find out which one of the top Clack hosts was actually on one of our episodes. that wasn't an interview. So it wasn't a one-on-one, but it was an actual real interview. And you have to send the answer to that to my Reddit account, which is u/thesearchheader, all one word, for your chance to enter. And yep, good luck, everybody. We will be probably using the same question again for next week because we're thinking about running these as a 2-week thing now, because every week we're sending out a lot of keys. It's 52 a year. It's a lot.
All right, so we'll have it fortnightly. That's all right.
Yeah.
Well,
at least for right now.
Yeah, hopefully next week we'll figure out something that we can do as well and announce the macro pad from Bus Gamer. So that would be good as well.
Cool.
I do apologize. We did have another sudden disconnect from the stream, but we are actually, of course, back as well. I'm not quite sure what was happening there. Probably my internet connection wasn't keeping up with the bitrate or something. All right, we've made all right time today. A little bit longer than usual, but that's what happens when you have a live show, and also get an international crossover. Now, Clark Yokomizo has actually suggested that if we were going to do a live stream, but we didn't want to have video, we can always just use the Discord voice, which we are currently doing, and have an overlay of our floating heads. So, yeah, I don't know, maybe, we'll see. And Harshit has asked, this live stream was planned, or was it just because I asked if we can have to hear? Oh, so you were the one that asked.
Oh, did he get my message on Reddit then?
I don't know.
Man.
We can see if he did get it or not. Now, I had actually planned to do the stream tonight live only because of the Sebright giveaway, because I wanted to actually do that random generator section of it, and I was hoping, because Joris had told me that he was going to try and do the cross connect, and we were successful in getting that. Otherwise, we probably wouldn't have actually done it live. So that's why I'm saying to Mendez's question earlier that we aren't really planning on doing these as a regular live thing, only because it is, well, I'm not saying that we say things that we shouldn't say, but it does allow us for interruptions and edit cuts and things like that if necessary. So, yeah. Alrighty. That search feature on the website is pretty good. Which search? Oh, on our podcast website. Fantastic. Well, I think there's already one entry right there, Kevin. That's going to be coming your way real quick.
Oh my god, that was quick.
But that's all right. We want participation. We want participation. All right. I think we're going to call it for tonight, this morning, this afternoon, depending on wherever you are in the world. Thank you very much, guys, for coming on today. Thank you very much to all of our listeners. Really appreciate your time with us this evening, especially if you're in Australia. It's like 10 minutes to 3. So, yeah. And everybody else around the world who's actually joined in on YouTube. Currently 8 watching. I believe our maximum hit 10, which, hey, it's better than 0, right? Any last words?
Thank you for stopping by the live stream and the podcast itself, and see you again next week.
All right.
See you next week.
And until next time, as usual, happy clacking.